This is me before I got ill. And I think for a lot of people, before you get ill, health really isn't something that you pay much attention to. It's something that you really take for granted. And it wasn't until I got ill, which was in 2004, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And what followed was 10 years of medication and flare-ups and remissions, and we all know what it's like having ulcerative colitis or Crohn's. It was quite an awful time. And then in September 2013, I had a subtotal colectomy and endoleostomy. And it was a massive, massive change in my life. And going home from surgery, so when you're in hospital, you've got the team around you, and I think your adrenaline's going. But going home with my stoma, I sort of sat down at home and suddenly I had all these negative feelings around me. Things like feeling scared, defeated, broken, sad, disabled, angry, fragile and ugly. It was a really difficult time. My body had changed so much in such a short period that it was a real difficult time. But the main feeling that I had was I felt lost. I felt like the bag defined me, and I was no longer myself. My self-esteem took a massive nosedive. I think we can all relate to that. It was the toughest time of my life, and I had all these negative feelings swirling around me. And I was sort of fighting an internal battle between gratitude, because I'd had a surgery that was putting me on a different path. It was putting me on a path of towards wellness, but also just really struggling with body image. I hope none of you are queasy. So as I got home and I looked down at my body that was held together with staples, and I had my stoma and my bag, I thought at first, all these negative feelings, I thought that I was going to feel depressed. But actually what happened was something quite surprising. And I started having feelings of pride. I looked down at my broken body, but what I felt was pride, because I was still standing, I was still here. And I felt like I was a hero. I felt like I'd fought this really difficult battle. And I think that's what we've all done. We've fought a battle, and we are courageous, we are heroes. And so what I did, because I live with a photographer, which some people say that's lucky, not necessarily, I started doing a series of photo shoots, because during this whole process so far, I'd been writing for my website, I'd been documenting my journey, and what I wanted to do now was put across photographs. So I worked with my husband, who's a very talented photographer, and what I wanted to do was break taboos. And I wanted to show people what it was really like, because before I had my surgery, I went online and I was searching for pictures of stomas, and they were either really terrifying medical images, or the information that I got from the hospital was pamphlets of happy smiling people, which is nice. You want to know that you know, you can have a life afterwards, but there was nothing there that I felt related to me. And I was terrified putting these images out there. But what I found is that the biggest thing that came from people who haven't got a stoma was they said, oh, is that it? You know, they're used to seeing these big bags, and I don't know what they think's behind it, but I think they think it's something terrifying. So to suddenly see what my stoma looked like in quite a different way that has been portrayed beforehand, it was nice to get a good reaction. What I wanted to do was put across images of people with a stoma, and I wanted to show that I wasn't a victim. And I wanted to have some images that made you think of words that you don't usually put with somebody who's been really sick. So I wanted to think about strength and beauty and sexiness, because we don't talk about sick people being sexy, because it's, you know, it's not what we do. And I wanted to show that I was a whole woman. The stoma was just such a tiny part of who I was. I wanted to show who I was. I wanted to show positive images, things that you just don't see. And while I was doing research for it all, I came across this phrase of IBD warrior, which isn't fit on there. And I thought that was a great phrase, and I really made me want to play around with that. And this shoot was all about the fact that I'd battled hard. We've all battled so hard, and I'd come through it, and I wanted to show my stoma bag as a badge of honour. And I was scared putting it out there. I didn't know what the reaction would be. I didn't know whether we'd get a positive reaction or a negative reaction. But what came back from other people with stomas, it really touched me, and it made me feel like I'd done a good thing. This is one of the comments that I got on the website. Yours is the first stoma I've seen. You are beautiful, you are sexy. Soon I'll have one too, and I can still feel beautiful and sexy. Do you have any idea what your photos have done for me? That comment absolutely blew me away. You know, while I was doing photographs in our little studio, I knew it would have a reaction, but to get that sort of reaction really meant a lot. Your blog has helped me more than you will ever know to get through an awful time in my life. I would lay in bed at 3 AM in hospital, just reading and reading and thinking, I'm not alone, I'm not a freak, I can do this. That meant so much, because I know that feeling of isolation, of loneliness, of feeling like nobody really understands. Even if you've got a great support system around you, nobody knows what it's actually like. And it really made me want to push forward and write more and do events like this and keep talking, because it's so important that we can all act as an advocate. You're truly an inspiration. I'm struggling with my body image and self-esteem at the moment. I need to think more like you and accept and love my body for what it is. And I think that's what we all need to learn to do. We need to learn to accept our bodies. And it was almost like a grieving process. People say that to me. I grieve my old body. I grieve the loss of my health. And the way that people deal with grief is to go through the steps and to learn to accept. And that's a real personal journey. Nobody can push you down that. But I think, although it's a personal journey, we really have to deal with the way that society views us. And I wanted to just touch on a TV show that I've seen this week. And it was called Too Ugly for Love. What an awful title. And it was people who had a lady with alopecia. There was also a gentleman who'd lost a leg. And there's two people with ostomies, one with Crohn's and one with colitis. And I saw the link going up for this. I thought, no, surely they wouldn't do that. And they did. And the TV company's response to my massive online rants were, oh no, there's a question mark. We're not saying these people are too ugly. We're just asking the question, because it's what they ask of themselves. Well, do you know what? I might have asked that of myself. I might have thought, wow, is this it? Is this, my body's ruined? But you know what? I don't want other people to make money off of that. I don't want other people to be using that, because it almost then makes it acceptable for other people to use that language. And it's not okay. It's not okay for people to use words like ugly. And I'm sort of halfway through my journey. I've still got a long way to go. I still have times of anxiety and stress. But I'm strong enough to say, too ugly for love, I don't think so. But if I was right at the beginning of my journey, if I was in hospital now, and the way that media is portraying people with an ostomy is that it's something to be embarrassed of, and that it's going to make you an ugly person, that would massively have affected my self-esteem. And so I really think that we give ourselves enough of a hard time, and it's not okay for others to do that. So I think it's really important for us all to go on our own personal journey to learn to accept our bodies. We need to accept our scars and the ostomy and all these things we have to go through so that we can become happy in ourselves and accepting of ourselves. And one of the things that I say is that my illness, my ileostomy, my scars don't define me. And I think as soon as we can do that, then you can become an advocate for other people. And events like this are fantastic, but a lot of people are too nervous to come to events like that. This is the feedback I get on the website, which is why it's so important that we all talk about this in our own lives. And when we do that, and when I talk about things online and then people will share it around, I've had my people come to me, my sister and friends saying, oh, I shared something at work and 3 people have come to me and one's got Crohn's, one's got colitis and one's got a stoma. So I think the more that we accept it ourselves and the more that we talk about it, the more we can advocate for other people. Oh, I've gone too far. And what I learned through learning to accept myself was that I really ended up loving my stoma. And I've had reversal surgery now. I've got a J pouch. But it was really important for me to get to the point where I could love my stoma, where I could accept that it was the thing that had healed me. It was there because it had made me better. And learning to love it was important because, as we all know, I've got a J pouch at the minute, but we can always end up going back. Oh, was that what's a J pouch?
Yeah.
A J pouch is where I've had a colectomy, so I've had the whole of my colon taken away. So my stoma is the end of my small intestine. Nice. So it's where they take away the stoma and create a pouch out of the end of your small intestine that's then reconnected to the rectum. So to the anus, sorry. The rectum's taken away.
So everything's internal.
Everything's internal. So yeah, I think what I'd like for you to take away is just that it's really important to learn to love your own body. And the more you can learn to love your own body, the more you can help others. And that's why I do what I do. I stand up and talk about poo. That's what my kids tell their friends when they say, what does your mummy do? My mummy talks about poo. And the thing that I have on my website is that we have to stop poo being taboo. Nobody likes to talk about it, but we need to talk about it, especially people in this room. We need to be able to talk about it. And the more we do that, the more we share, the more people we can help. So thank you so much for listening to me. You can find me online at sobadass.me. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Instagram and all those daft things. But I'm also hanging about all day, so I'm more than happy to talk to anybody if anyone wants any questions now or to come and find me later. That'd be great.
Thank you.